constant yearning for transcendence with discernment. Polarities and the illusion of separateness. I woke up inspired, a very Neptunian quality, tapping into the mutability of the zodiac. I have started feeling a lot of love expressing others while simultaneously feeling a heavy burden on those who suffer when they stay in victim mode. How do we discern our thoughts within the ecology of our environment? What we eat, what we choose to focus on, and what we absorb in all shapes or forms, all of this affect us. Where you put your attention, you put your energy. Neptune is at 29 degrees of Pisces, which is the last degree of the whole zodiac. The last time it was here was at the brink of the American civil unrest. Neptune entered Aries on April 13, 1861, just one day after the start of the Civil War. We still have until the 30th of March 2025 for the Aries ingress before it turns back to Pisces and commands the rulership of the upcoming lunar eclipse axis that starts on January 12, 2025 and it lasts until July 26, 2026. What is it about transcendence that differs from transfiguration or transformation? All three words imply crossing a border, moving beyond a line, a point, essence, or even form, yet they each carry distinct nuances in their meaning. Quote, Marco's answers and objections took their place in a discourse already proceeding on its own. In the great Kant's head, that is to say, between the two of them, it did not matter whether questions and solutions were uttered out loud or whether each of the two went on pondering in silence. In fact, they were silent, their eyes half closed, reclining on cushions, swaying in hammocks, smoking long amber pipes. Marco Polo imagined answering, or Kublai Khan imagined his answer, that the more one was lost in unfamiliar quarters of distant cities, the more one understood the other cities he had crossed to arrive there. Italo Calvino, Invisible Cities, end of quote. A constant yearning for transcendence. Transcendence, as in reaching higher states of consciousness, is going beyond the ordinary limits or boundaries, often in a spiritual or metaphysical sense. It implies surpassing the constraints of the material world or one's current state of existence, a mystical state, perhaps. Quote, a man sets himself the task of portraying the world. Through the years, he has created a space with images of provinces, kingdoms, mountains, bays, ships, islands, fishes, rooms, instruments, stars, horses, and people. Shortly before his death, he discovers that the patient labyrinth of lines traces the image of his face. Jorge Luis Borges, Dream Tigers, end of quote. Transfiguration, however, is about a visible change in the appearance, often linked to something divine or elevated, like the transformation of Jesus in Christian belief, the union mystica or sacred marriage, where all elements dissolve into one another. As a Taoist disciple, I've encountered countless tales of enlightened beings or immortals capable of changing their form. Mastery of life force or qi could enable feats like levitation or sustaining oneself solely on breathing air. Whether these stories are factual is not the focus here. What's noteworthy is the symbolic resonance in contemporary culture. Figures like Jordan Peterson and his daughter Michaela, Russell Brand, Candace Owens, and Jordan Hall seem to be rediscovering Christ consciousness. There seems to be a universal yearning for reconnection to a higher, more profound, and divine essence. Could this yearning be a response to the current events, such as a genocide or imperialistic forces that perpetuate suffering while devaluing humanity as the currency is also losing value? The current zeitgeist feels like a battle of light and dark, reminiscent of David and Goliath tale. It appears that more individuals are awakening from the collective dream. In recent times, there has been a noticeable increase in the practice of spirituality and devotion with a near-religious fervor. It's interesting to note that the word disciple inherently implies a relationship with a higher mentor. Through disciplined devotion, one may attain an elevated state of consciousness. Are people repenting? If so, of what? Are people feeling lost? If so, why. I am not questioning the how, the inquiry, but rather turning to its polarity in Virgo, discernment. How can one know when and to what to surrender? With a logical judgment stance help? No? Then it is some sort of curiosity, Gemini/Mercury, that can lead to seeking truth. One learns to accept the wisdom of intuition through knowledge, Jupiter/Sagittarius. One doesn't have to know the scriptures to be one with the Creator. It is a question not of faith, but of trust. That is what I feel. A looming crisis of faith or disillusionment is on the horizon as institutional structures begin to crumble, or an ecstatic transcendence can occur. In the summer of 2025, when the nodes square Jupiter in Gemini and Saturn aligns with Neptune's current position, conjuncting the North Node, a significant opportunity will arise to observe the outcomes of current celestial alignments. This period will shed light onto the seeds planted during the April 20th, 24 new phase of Jupiter and Uranus conjunction in Taurus. The transformation will enter a new phase with Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node aligning to support profound change, aided by the challenging and metamorphic quality of Pluto. These shifts will likely bring about dramatic changes in many aspects of life, particularly in our relationship with the intangible aspects of existence. Checking our connection to the body, the breath, and even how resources are important will support the spirit to create an equilibrium instead of a disassociation or falling into a nebulous seduction that will keep you dormant at the most important times of our lives. Note: I analyze and write about astrological transits well in advance to prepare and make the most of their energies. I can only sense that there will be a path towards finding meaning, not in philosophy or machines, but rather an innovation of deeper connection to the source, creating a new structure based on individual needs and communities that thrive in the contribution of authentic selves. Attention, it can also fall into a complete delusion, a state of government intervention where all civil rights are taken away as the people have voluntarily started to worship the master, pushing people even more into serfdom. Therefore, discernment is crucial for your ecology of practices. Check your judgment barometer and allow new perspectives to show you the way. Transformation, while also involving a change or crossing of boundaries, tends to be broader and more encompassing. It can refer to a fundamental and comprehensive change in nature, character, or form. Transformation can occur on various levels: physical, psychological, emotional, or spiritual, and involve gradual or profound shifts in identity, perspective, or behavior. How have you been transformed since 2020? Impulse to be. During the new moon of May 7th, occurring at 18 degrees of Taurus in Gate 2, there may be a recollection of events from August 1st, 2022. On that day, there was a conjunction of Uranus, the North Node, and Mars in Gate 2 at the same degree. This gate is associated with the monopole that binds us within the illusion of our separateness. It feels like we were presented with a clear direction back then. Can you recall what it was? As this new moon aligns exactly with the same position, what are your intentions now? Saturn is currently conjunct with my Chiron at 17 degrees of Pisces, and I no longer fear feeling vulnerable. The sextile that forms with the new moon is supportive, as traumas around self-reliance, boundaries, and opening my heart have been deeply and slowly healing. Reflecting when Saturn was last at the same degree around March 26, 1995, Uranus was entering Aquarius and the South Node in Taurus was on my Sun. I was certainly embarking on a new territory, having just moved to the United States, where the value I place on becoming a visual artist was so strong that it certainly gave me meaning, and I was able to manifest a career that paid off. I am contemplating how time serves as both as a healer and an inspiration, guiding us along the spiral of love. Quote, Neptune 29 degrees of Pisces. One reads the next degree. Phase 360, Pisces 30. A majestic rock formation resembling a face is idolized by a boy who takes it as his ideal of greatness, and as he grows up, begins to look like it. Keynote: the power of clearly visualized ideals to mold the life of the visualizer. Nathaniel Hawthorne's story, The Great Stone Face, is used here as an allegorical sense to show the capacity of self-transformation latent in man. The power can be developed through visualization. When the emotions and the will are poured into the visualized mental image at the highest spiritual cosmic level, this is the power used by the godlike beings at the close of a cosmic cycle in projecting the basic formula, the word, which will start a new universe. In a biological sense, it is the power latent in all seeds, the power to produce and guide the growth of the future plant. A most fitting symbol for the last phase of this cyclic process. Within the end of the cycle, the seed of a new beginning exists in potency unless the entire cycle has proven to be a failure. This is the last stage of the last scene of the great ritual play of cyclic transformation. It brings to us a realization of the power of archetypes as factors conditioning life processes. Thus, we could use as a final keyword, archetypalization. Dane Woodyard, An Astrological Mandala. Quote, to live is to invite energy's flow, in purpose sway or forces undertow. Each consumption births a unique flow. Positive essence in one, in the other a shadow. Ancient minds saw the cosmos grind to sign, crafted by intelligent beings divine. Seeds of cosmic pasts, or God's line, a contrast to modern science confined, view of the self-moving forces undefined. While some scientists remain aglow in the light of metaphysical truths to show, the focus on material facts tend to grow. Believe in forces, not powers, in life's ebb and flow. This is some sort of poem that I kind of wrote, inspired by something that Dane Woodyard had written. I'm going to read the footnotes. Okay, so while the South Node is in Virgo, remember this is going to happen next year in January, it signifies a time to let go of the tendencies associated with Virgo energy. This includes striving for perfection, getting stuck in over-analysis, using vices or addictions to cope with stress, experiencing worry and anxiety, preferring to do things alone or with difficulty, being controlling or overly critical, micromanaging situations, being skeptical, ignoring your intuition or spiritual guidance, and engaging in gossip or hurtful speech. On the other hand, the direction of the North Node in Pisces suggests embracing qualities aligned with the Piscean energy. This includes tapping into artistic talents, acting as a healer, utilizing imagination, trusting and developing intuitive abilities, having faith in the universe, accepting support and guidance from higher powers, surrendering to the flow, processing emotions without relying on substances, recovering from addiction, and using words to provoke thought. People born with this nodal axis will be having a return from July 27, 1950 to March 28, 1952, April 20, 1969 to November 2nd, 1970, December 3rd, 1987, May 22nd, 1989, June 23rd, 2006, December 18, 2007. Footnote number 2. Transfiguration denotes a visible transformation in the physical appearance of a religious practitioner. It is a term that in the West is mostly clearly associated with the story of Jesus that appears in the synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke. See also Peter. In this story, Jesus led his disciples, Peter, James, and John, up to a high mountain. There, Jesus underwent a physical metamorphosis in which his face shone like a sun and his clothes became white as light. Transfiguration, Spirituality and Embodiment, Perspectives from Christian and Taoist Scriptures, James Miller, Queen's University. Footnote number 3. Given that the focus of this practitioner's religious quest is the attainment of immortality, it is not surprising that this should entail some transformation within the body of the practitioner. It is within this broad category of somatic transformation that I would like to relate some of the findings of my 2008 study of one particular hagiography, that of the perfect purple yang, Xijang Shenren. This hagiography, prized with the highest clarity, Shanqing, Traditional Taoism narrates the quest of Zhu Zizan to attain the rank of perfect immortal, Zhenren. He does so by embarking on a journey through China's mountains to seek guidance from teachers and, crucially, to obtain a vision of increasingly powerful immortal gods who will guide him in his quest. The mode of spiritual practice advocated in this text is that of visualization, in which the adept closes his eyes and visualizes an encounter with the god that takes place within his own body, with the consequence that it is gradually transformed into the immortal body. Like the biblical story of the Transfiguration, the text is replete with imagery of light, sunshine, and visualization. His father considered this strange and asked him what kind of activity he practiced, and Lord Zhu remained kneeling for a long time, then replied, I, Yishan, deep in my heart, love the splendor of the sunlight and its eternal radiance. This is the only reason why I worship it. Miller, 2008, Eden. Footnote number 4. The phase 52, Taurus 22. This is the saving symbol for the new moon. White dove flying over the troubled waters, the keynote, the spiritual inspiration that comes to the individual in the overcoming of a crisis. Here also we are confronted with a symbol of guidance, and the dove flying over troubled waters reminds one of the story of Noah and the ark. Noah met his and mankind's crisis courageously, and in a complete obedience to God's promptings. The test was completed, and he received the dove's message. It is a message from the Holy Spirit announcing a new dispensation. The symbolic scene can be applied to a personal crisis resulting from emotional upheavals or from the eruption of unconscious forces and impulses into the consciousness, if the crisis has been faced in the right spirit. This second stage symbol is in contrast to the preceding one because here it is not the product of a culture, a book, but instead the rhythm of cosmic, God-ordained cycles that reveals its conclusive beat through a living and concretely significant sign, a reward to the faithful. The last footnote makes reference to the monopole. There's something else as well. This area of the body graph is the most advanced area of the body graph because of the monopole needs to hold together the illusion of this reality. It also has to hold together the illusion of the next potential reality and the next. It holds together the memory of all the previous potential realities, and as such, it enormously sophisticated in its potential. In other words, the potential inherent in the G center is to lay the foundation of the correctness for what will be the mutation of the new race, the new human beings, while at the same time being able to provide that for humanity. Okay, my friends, it's almost 20 minutes I've been reading, so I want to wish you all a beautiful week. I've had a lot of insights and slowly I'm just writing them here. So I don't have much to say other than have a beautiful spring. Here in the United States is spring and elsewhere. Bye-bye.